Ben Shapiro's The Daily Wire severs ties with Candace Owens after her embrace of anti-Semitic rhetoric. I love the headline from the corporate press on all of these things. Jeremy Boring, co-CEO of Daily Wire, simply said that Daily Wire and Candace Owens have ended their business relationship. It was fairly professional. As far as I know, Candace did also just said, here's my YouTube channel. Thank you. Everybody runs wild with speculation, and you can't help it, can you, CNN? They had to make sure they put Ben Shapiro's name in it. They want to make sure they get those clicks, and they had to include anti-Semitic rhetoric. Okay. I don't know.
Well, it's Oliver Darcy, so.
I know, of course. But to be fair, there's like 4 or 5 other corporate press outlets that did the exact same thing.
Yep.
So what we know is that she is no longer with the Daily Wire. There are many people that are suggesting the issue was she had made comments critical of Israel, and she was critical of certain Jewish individuals pertaining to Christianity versus Judaism. However, I don't know that any of that plays a role, to be completely honest. I think her contract was likely coming to an end, and she disagrees with them. It really is much simpler. We know for a fact that Ben and Candace disagree on a lot of things. I don't think that's grounds for them to be like, we're no longer going to work with you ever again. But if they both were kind of like, maybe we shouldn't work together, that's just it.
Yeah, she tweeted out that she's free. That was part of her tweet. So she obviously felt trapped there up until today. And she and Ben had that falling out, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. I wasn't here and I didn't talk about it, but I saw they had a miscommunication, and then it kind of, neither of them realized what was going on. And then all of a sudden it blew up into this big fight. And then they stopped talking to each other. And then she wouldn't mention his name. She probably wanted out. She probably went to the guys and was like, triple my salary, new contract. And they were like, no. And she's like, all right, I'm done.
I don't think I doubt she probably asked for a lot more money.
I bet she wanted like a huge raise because she was really unhappy, is my guess, or she didn't even ask for anything and she just left. One of the two.
I'm assuming Candace she's already successful and wealthy and she doesn't need the money from them.
She's going to be great.
If it's an issue of freedom and you got someone who's a millionaire, it's impossible to buy freedom.
Yeah, she should start her own network, CandaceOwens.com.
But I do want to point this out.
Is that right?
Christy Neville's on Twitter. I'm not sure who this is. Took a screenshot showing that episodes 299 and 301 of the Candace Owens show have been removed, saying that both were about Bridget McCrone. And if you head over to Apple Podcasts, you can see that the episode from March 13th, I believe, is what we're looking at. No, there's no one. So what is it? Yeah. March 13th is not there. So it goes 12 to 14, 300 to 302. And it goes March 7th to 12th. There's no 299. So there's no... But there is a March 8th shot in the dark. So I don't know for sure, but it looks like one of the key issues may have been coming out and saying that Emmanuel Macron's wife, Bridget McCrone, is a man, and I'll stake my career on it. I have to assume that the Daily Wire immediately got a lawsuit threat because that's how these things work. We've received threats of lawsuits. Now, many people, there's a lot of people who are like, no, Israel. And they're saying it's because she was critical of Israel or whatever. Yeah, it's entirely possible, considering, Ben Shapiro is much more invested for obvious reasons.
By the way, and I haven't even looked into it, but that would potentially be under French law.
What, elaborate?
So defamation law, as most people know in the U.S., is extremely loose. It's and even more so for public individuals, public figures. So they say this came up with Nick Salmon, of course, because Nick Salmon was a private individual who was defamed as opposed to a public individual. This did not come up, for example, for Kyle Rittenhouse because they claimed that Kyle Rittenhouse was named in the arrest warrant, and so when he was named in that capacity, that made him a public figure. So that being said, in the EU, the laws. Oh, yeah. The laws are much stricter, and I've seen people try to do this. They call it what is it like?
Yo, I'm sorry, I just figured it out.
Tourism lawsuits in the UK, where people tried to do this in the UK and it doesn't work. But if France were going to bring it, it could be pretty rough.
I think I just figured it out. You figured it out. Candace Owens goes to the guys at the Daily Wire and says, "I want more money," and they said no. And she goes, contract negotiation. They go contract negotiation. She says, this is not working for me. They're like, well, too bad, you're in a contract. And she goes, oh, yeah? So she goes on her show and goes, Bridget McCrone is a man.
Oh.
And then they're like, ah! And then they're like, okay, we get it. You're out of your contract. Leave us alone.
That did kind of come out of nowhere.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, what is she? Could it be that she came out with those episodes saying, I will stake my career on Bridget McCrone being a man because it put the liability on the Daily Wire, which she would not absorb? And so they're like, okay.
Which I'm sure if she said it on the show, it would come under.
But as far as I know, Candace, she has integrity, so I don't think she would say something she didn't believe. I tend to believe.
Yeah, I'm with you on
seen-
that. I don't think Candace would.
It came out of nowhere, though. You
I
know
don't
what
think
mean?
Candace, just knowing her, would do something. Like, she didn't strike me as the kind of and people are like, oh, does Candace hate this person or that person? And I don't think she's like
agree.
that.
I agree.
I just really don't think she's like
She's
that at
actually
all.
a very good person.
right.
She's like a really funny actor that is stuck in a political realm. Like if the world were very healthy, she'd be like an actor. I feel like
But-
she's just got that like lightheartedness to her.
That's why when everyone's
She's
like,
smart to be
oh,
an
it's
actor.
because of this thing or that thing, I was like, when I actually sat down, when I met Candace, when I went on her show the first time, I was deeply impressed. Like, it was legit. It was genuine. She knew what she was talking about. She did the research. Her logic was sound. I actually agreed with her on a lot of things. I was like, oh, wow, she knows exactly what she's talking about. And then before, during, and after the show, it was all completely genuine and real. And I truly believe she believed what she was saying. So it would be funny if she was having like tough negotiations with the Daily Wire and they were like, Candace, you have another year on your contract. You can't leave. And she goes, then I will make it not worth it for you. That would be funny, but yeah, it's probably not the case. But that means she also deeply believes that Bridget McCone is a man, and I don't think that's correct, but, you know.
We did a bit on this on The Unusual Suspects with Vinny Oshana at the Valuetainment like a couple weeks ago about Bridget. And I don't want to do a whole Bridget McCone segment unless you guys want to, but it's pretty wild. Have you looked into it at all?
The glancing look I gave into it was something that like they couldn't find pictures of when she was younger. They're kept in the same place as Epstein's Black Book and the Michelle Obama pregnancy photos.
Everyone has transes on the brain.
Yeah.
What I was told is that
It really like
Wait.
like everybody. It's this like thing where people are just constantly thinking like the transvestigators are on the
Yes.
prowl. You know?
Investigators, I love that.
I was going to say, do you remember the transvestigators?
Yes.
It was leftists, and they were like taking pictures of women and being like, this is actually a man, and
Yeah.
here's why. And I'm like, it's funny because that's like the meanest thing to say to a woman.
It
There's
really
like,
is.
It's
But
like,
no, it's actually the nicest thing to say. So what you want to do, what you could do to
I don't know,
to,
man. Lizzo's beautiful.
You could
Apparently,
you could go on like there was a 4chan post of this guy saying that he goes like you see what I was talking about?
No.
Where he goes and says, "Oh, I've been dating these liberal women that I'll meet with on dating apps on purpose, and I'll go out with them, and after like the first couple of dates, I'll be like, that's really cool that you're, not only that you've been so open about your transition, but you really pass. You really pass." And that it just drives them completely nuts. And he was like, "I've done this to 7 women now."
they can't get mad about it. They can just be like, oh, no, I'm not. And you'd be like, oh, really?
not allowed.
Because I thought wasn't that there was a Seinfeld episode about that where Elaine was dating a guy and she thought he was black. And then he thought she was either Jewish or maybe also black. I forget what it was. And he's like, but your name is Bennis. And at the end, they're like, so wait, so we're just a couple of white people? And she goes, yeah, I guess we are. What do we do? I don't know. Do you want to go to the Gap?
the Macron things, I don't really want to talk. I don't know anything about it or if it's real. And it's insane to me to think that a world leader is married to someone that's 25 years older than him that is transsexual or trans.
The age thing is already weird enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Age thing is already weird enough.
The story goes that he was 16 and he met his future wife in school, that she was his teacher at the time or something like that. I don't know.
Like
That's about as far as I'm going to go.
Feels like
Can I-
straight up grooming.
Can I just?
Mommy
I gotta read this paragraph. Oliver Darcy is such a scumbag. He wrote, "But since the October 7th Hamas terror attack on Israel, Owens has repeatedly waded into anti-Semitic waters." Now, hold on. What could she have possibly said that was so anti-Semitic?
Right.
As she fiercely criticized Israel. What? That's a country. Suggesting the Jewish government was committing genocide in Gaza and claiming there's a sinister small ring of Jewish people in Hollywood and D.C. involved in something quite sinister. If you want to separate those two statements, I'd accept that. People are allowed to criticize Israel over their military actions.
You know who else criticizes Israel and accuses Israel of genocide? Other Jewish people all the time. Like go look on Twitter. Go spend 5 seconds on TikTok. You'll find some.
I just love that it's like Candace Owens has criticized Israel's military operations. she is wading into anti-Semitism. It's like, dude, just spare me with that stuff. Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's like
But
some straight up Iraq war kind
Right,
of.
I know.
I mean,
white
look,
nationalist
also
crap.
you have to remember, like, the Israel-Gaza thing is like Schrodinger's bigot. Like, if you support Gaza, then you're anti-Semitic. If you support Israel, then it's because you hate the Muslims. Either way, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So
They can't just write, we don't have comment from them on why the separation, and just end it with a single paragraph, because Oliver Darcy is a scumbag grifter. So let me just explain. He puts Ben Shapiro's name in the title because it gets clicks. Because they know that when people do a keyword search, this article would pop up. Instead of just putting The Daily Wire, which is a corporation for which Ben Shapiro's involved, he could have wrote Jeremy Boring's The Daily Wire. He's the co-CEO. Now they have to milk as much out of it as possible. I don't know if you guys saw that tweet from Alex Jones. He said that Israel is committing a robotic genocide.
Yes, it was a video of drones bombing
drones.
these like civilians walking what looks like four just dudes.
And we got to be
unarmed.
careful on that one. Because you
Yeah,
said
no
civilians.
one knows what it is.
We don't know what it is.
It's four men, like younger looking men walking, and then it's you see it from the drone's perspective. It's apparently leaked footage from a drone. Israeli
FPV
drone.
drones.
What's that?
Is what?
First person view drones.
Yeah, I don't think I don't believe the video footage is coming from a drone that actually, like a Reaper drone or anything. I think it's coming from
Observation or something.
a small quad rotor.
Well, they're walking along and then
drone.
pop, explosion. There's nothing.
You can
they're
actually
just dissipated. They're like disintegrated, and then you see that. But then you still see like one guy walking. I don't know if they're picking off stragglers. If they hit the group of them,
They hit the group and one guy survives, starts walking forward at a brisk pace, and then you can actually see the missiles come down in the
And
video.
whenever Alex Jones, it broke him. That was his moment where he was like, they've gone too far.
And I watch a video like that, and I think it raises like a probable cause question degree of like a preponderance of evidence to where we're like, this has to be reviewed. There has to be a hearing.
Well-
however, I'm very careful in that I'm not going to watch a 30-second video and say I know what's happening. I just can't do that.
Well,
But I can
dirty
certainly
little
take
secret
issue.
is that the drone war has always been like this.
Right.
The drone war has literally almost to a T. The Soleimani strike, fine, right? You know who's in the car, but that's a one-off. There are so many times where things have happened. If you go look at the conduct of this, that U.S. intelligence services, I'm talking about America here, obviously, but now everybody's got drone tech, right? So it used to just be that America would be doing this thing, go into Waziristan in Pakistan, or they'd go throughout Afghanistan, and we're gonna hit this place, we're gonna hit that place, and we see what's right there on the camera. Those are the bad guys. Let's go blow them up. But a lot of the times, either you don't know what it is, you don't know what the collateral is, you don't know what the situation is as much. And to your point, the probable cause, it's always been that way. There's a great Ethan Hawke movie about it that not a lot of people have seen.
I'm just saying I try to take the the fence sitter approach to this, and I think for Alex to come out,
Tim Pool, a fence sitter?
Oh, certainly.
Never.
But so it's like I immediately saw it, and I wanted to hit retweet and comment and be like, "What the?" And so my thought was, we need like proper adjudication on what this is and why it happened. And I think Israel should be like, we should demand, especially with this minibus they just passed, massive funding for Israel. They should have to justify what that was, provide evidence, because it certainly does look like they just blew up a couple civilians. That's the video that came out, and that's the reporting we're seeing, and they should answer for it.
the American people have every right to question Congress and have Congress explain where they're sending their money and what Congress is doing in support of other nations. That being said, I don't want to see U.S. money going to anyone. I don't want to see American dollars going to any foreign aid. I think that it incentivizes bad behavior. So full stop on that. As for what Israel is doing or what that particular thing looked like, I don't know anything about the people that were in there, but that's just what war is. And people that are saying, talking about disproportionate response and stuff, the proportionate response is getting Hamas. Like, that's the proportion, getting the people that carried out the attack. You can dislike that and say that you don't want that. Cool. And that's a completely legitimate position to have. But people that say it's disproportionate because they've killed too many people, that's not going to. That's not how military actions work. And I'm of the mind of Scott Adams when it comes to this. Israel's going to do what Israel's going to do. Doesn't matter what I say. Doesn't matter what any of us say. And to be honest with you, the people that live in Gaza and in Israel are the only people that actually it really matters to directly.
There is no such thing as proportional response. That is a made up term.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like people that talk about proportional response. A proportional response is make believe. What you do is you set a military goal and then you continue to conduct military actions until you have achieved your military goal. The military goal that Israelis have set is the destruction of Hamas. It doesn't matter if you like it, and I'm not saying you have to like it. I'm talking about the reality on the ground there.
I just want to say, I think for all the people in the United States and those who would watch this show or not, we're all in agreement. We shouldn't be sending money over there. And if your justification is you think it's a genocide or whatever, I honestly don't care. Because if the only thing we agree on is the U.S. shouldn't be spending money on these foreign wars and funding anything, then we need not argue the morality of anything going on. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.